Hi guys, welcome to part 8 excuse me, of our series of videos on refactoring the text model. I hope we are getting close to a conclusion of this refactor. Make sure we are all connected correctly. And we are recording, which indeed we are. So, in the previous parts, we got C# and C++ on the same level. We probably should just double check that these templates are also up to date. So this is the artifact transform implementation. Just gonna paste these guys here just to double check that we haven't made any changes since the original copying of these. Probably expect maybe 1 or 2 changes. Probably need space there. So, if I look at the diffs, yeah, there was a little change there, as you can see. Now then, what we shall do now is we shall try to move across 4 templates, 4 text templates. Right, this is now going to start giving us some trouble because there's not a lot of space here already. Some of these other sort of cases are going to be quite small. So perhaps what we can do is we can, for example, ODB in Visual Studio. I don't think we need all this space for all these guys. Just drag across tests over to somewhere. Serialization is probably quite a big one. Somewhere around here, I should think. Doesn't have to be perfect, just need something to give us a space for now. We'll worry about the rest when we come to it. And so, now that we have the space, this is probably not even going to be enough, but this will get us started. We can, let's just see if this is going to be enough. Yeah, probably need a bit of sideways space, but that will do, that will do. Right, so, as you know, probably if you've been watching this series of videos, we can't really copy and paste at the moment, due to some problems with Dia. So what we'll need to do instead is the second best thing, which is manual copying and pasting. We can change all the colors in one go, I guess. This guy, I guess. Oh, everything except for Dia is slightly buggy at present, to be fair. Main reason why Dia is not being very well maintained for a long time. So finding problems with Dia frequently. So what we'll do is start off with, we're just going to copy and paste. In fact, I wonder if we should just copy and paste everything and then activate at the end. That would be the best of ideas. Maybe we should just do 4, activate 4, and then remove and continue. It's always best to do things incrementally around here. Right, so that should probably take care of the first. And we'll do the same thing. I mean, I suspect we might not record all of this because, as you can see, this is not particularly exciting. So we'll record a few, see how it goes, and as soon as you get to a point where it becomes a bit repetitive and it's not really adding much value, we probably would just do these things offline. But I think for the first few, to get a flavor of what we're doing, it's probably worthwhile recording this. At any rate, as you can imagine, we're getting quite close to completion of this refactoring, so that is quite good. I guess while we are doing this boring work, I can reflect a bit on the work. We recorded most of the work this sprint, to be fair. Part of it was just a motivational thing. For whatever reason, it's a good trick, motivational trick to record, because when you are feeling a bit sluggish and not quite starting the work, messing around with the internet, so you think that you're going to start recording, then you get distracted a bit less. However, as I mentioned many times in these videos, the downside is that once you get into that zone and you start concentrating, then the opposite happens. You get distracted because you're doing the video, and for whatever reason, when you're recording a video, not at least me, I'm sure there's other people out there that are better than me at this, but find difficult to maintain kind of in the zone levels of concentration that you can when you're coding. So that's the first 4. Rather unexciting. So let's now do the fiddling around with templates and so on. So what we have here, mainly we're going to be looking is for text.cpp, as you can see here. Suspect we can just get away with saying whenever you find text.cpp, never mind the dots, just replace that with text. And that's probably enough. Interesting that we're referring to C#. Did not think we were copying C# things. So this relationship is actually incorrect. We'll keep it as it is because we don't really want to start seeing lots of spurious diffs, so that's just wrong, but we'll continue to stay wrong. Same here then. Hopefully that's the only changes. And now we just rinse and repeat. You can see why we think this is not going to be the most exciting of videos, because almost all of it is just going to be, oh, there's nothing to change there, so we can leave it as it is. The entire video is just going to be these kind of operations, really. We could probably take this opportunity to reorganize the includes, but perhaps no, we should not do that now. The reason why, as I keep saying, is we should try to keep the diffs small. The bigger the diffs, the more problems you're going to have when something goes wrong. And if you start doing these cosmetic changes, the diff is going to increase for no good reason. Which then means that we are going to spend a lot of time when the problem starts trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, so there's the first 4. Now, for this to work, we need to delete these guys as well, because otherwise I think we're going to end up with a problem. So let's just make sure we're running off the latest code generator. And then let's just run generate all models. Right, so this does whatever it does. We expect to see quite a few things here. And now if we attempt to compile, first is to see whether we compile at all. Okay, minor problem. We have got the wrong namespaces, so that's not a big one. So all we need to do is make sure we're referring. In fact, it might just be the C++ side of things. Wrong place. Right, so the problem at the moment is the stitch template is, this is the old way of doing things. It's referring to the header. And what we need here is to say we're inside of transforms. C++ types is our facets, so we were not, when we did our replacement, we should have taken this into account, so that's fine. Hopefully this will be the biggest problem. CPP is the backend, types is the facets. Right, so now then, let's move over to the next problem. Just regenerates, expect few differences we probably forgot to save. This is actually quite a good system to work on, because as you can see here, there's only 3 differences, so expect 4. Worrying. Oh, this one is up to date. This does not appear to be up to date, so mainly, as you can see here, the biggest enemy that we're going to have is going to be concentration. That looks alright actually. And you can also see how concentration costs you time, because clearly we got distracted somewhere, and now we're going to have to review all of these again. They all look fine to me. I have no idea why that's happening, so I would have thought we have 4 differences there, but clearly not. But it will all come out of the wash. So, initializer, no problems. Right, this is the one we're worried about. Archetype class implementation factory transform. So, archetype class implementation factory. I could swear we checked this guy, but clearly not. Let's have a look. And also, actually, while we're here, let's just do this the proper way, which is by saying you want to do something like replace all of that with, well, no need for C++ here. Keep the slash. Oh, interesting. There's a dot somewhere. Right, let's just copy this again, because I think we made a mistake in the copying and pasting. So let's just say we don't want text on CPP, and then here we want CPP. So that now results in the right copy and paste, which you can reuse for all the other transforms. We can now regenerate. I mean, this is still not going to compile as you'd expect, as we've already seen quite a few errors. So right, some of these errors are expected. Let's just deal with the ones that are easy. Initializer ones we should be able to sort out. That's one. Here's the next. So we'll just let the fly check tell us where we gone wrong. Because there's only going to be 4 of them, so it's just easier. And then presumably we don't need to do anything else here. Web measure will just recompile, but we know that we're going to have problems. So what? So okay, bingo. The problem here is the namespaces. Not to worry, so we just go back to the templates. The namespaces are probably, here we are. So I think we could just do this in line, I think. Seems easy enough. And last but not least, this chap here. Keep doing it the wrong way around. Right, now then. Just gonna make sure that we staged all of this. Okay, so we seem to have gone past compilation. Now the question is, oh, it's rather surprising. We managed to get it working. So we could just say something as simple as text.cpp move cross archetypes. And now let's call this model to text transforms in types facets. And there you are, the first set of transforms have been moved across. So that was fairly painless, I think. I was expecting this to be rather more painless. I guess we've been doing this for a while. So we will just continue with this exercise for a bit. I don't think what we'll do is we will do perhaps an hour and a half of this video. We're already 60 minutes into it, so we'll just do as many as we can in an hour and a half, and then we'll just go offline, I should think, because just to speed things up a little bit. As you can imagine, given that there's not a lot to be gained by doing this in a video, because we're not really adding much value, you get the gist of it. So, and since it slows us down a bit, makes more sense to just try to get them done quickly. Like I was saying, we probably could take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the sprints. So it's been quite an amazing sprint, really. It's sad that we are slightly running out of time in terms of writing the thesis. So the downside is that we may not be able to finish all the tasks away in our roadmap, because we should really start writing at some point. So whilst we are quite close to completing all the coding that we wanted to do, we may need to start doing some of the coding in parallel, some of the writing. We can always return to the coding as we go through the motions with the thesis, because it's not just the writing. There's lots of phases to the writing, so it kind of makes sense to just pause the coding for a bit, get the writing up to the same speed as the coding, now that the coding is gone beyond what we had written before. We just need to sync it up again. First we had the challenge to sync up the coding to where the thesis was, just to make sure that we're using the right terms. Quite a lot of work, really. But now it's the opposite, really. We've gone ahead, so you're going to have a couple of sprints, well, quite a few sprints now, where the focus is going to be on the writing, really. That's that guy, and the same for the facet. In fact, to be honest, I think I might even just, this is going to be perhaps a short video. Or perhaps what we can do, we haven't done this before, but what we could perhaps do is we could perhaps pause the video, now that we have paused the video quite a few times, for other reasons, but perhaps what we'll do in this video is we're going to pause once we finish with these facets, and then resume the video once we've done all the boring stuff. Because it seems that an hour and a half of this might just be a little bit too much. I think now that you got the gist of it, you can see how the rest is going to progress. So we'll just finish these facets, and then we'll put the video on pause, and then I'll unpause it once we get to something slightly more exciting. Also means we get to listen to music while doing the work, which is always positive. Let's do the namespaces as well. As you can see, it will be quite straightforward to just create a macro for this, which is probably what we'll do once we stop doing the videos. seems easy enough to just create a macro to modify the templates. Which would considerably speed things up. Not so easy to edit the model directly for this, sadly. Noise starting downstairs. Hopefully you're not here listening to a lot of the screaming and shouting going on downstairs. Another very interesting challenge to coding. So this is the last one. Right, so a bit of luck. The good thing about this kind of work as well is that the first few always take you the longest, hopefully. So we can now say, let's just get rid of these guys here, and let's see what happens. Probably should make sure we're running from the latest code generator. Right, so let's just generate, look at the diffs, looks sensible. And let's just attempt to run our tests. We expect at least one error, there's the one. Now, I think if we just look for facets, and then add the backend. Okay. And hopefully so the last step then seems to be very straightforward now. We've done what, 8 formatters in, well, the video is recorded for 23 minutes, so you know, I've 8 yacht, so probably a couple of hours of this. But as you can see, it seems like a fairly straightforward thing to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go offline for a minute. We're going to completely move all of these guys across, more or less like you've seen us doing it now. So it doesn't really add a lot of value. And when we get to the point where there's nothing left, we will just come back to review the work, because that is more or less the end of this refactoring, I believe. So I'm just going to put the video on pause for a minute. Okay, so we're back to where we were, roughly a few hours later, I guess. As you can see here, we've done all of the transforms with the exception of 2, and I just left these last 2 to just do that in the video. As expected, it didn't really add a lot of value. Like I said, there was not a lot of point to record all of this. These ones we'll just do it the quick way, or the slow way, should I say, because since we're not going to have enough brain processing power to multitask. So we just copy these guys across. Now we left the last bits to be done on the recording, because this is going to be slightly more exciting. It's also the conclusion of the big refactor, so it's fitting, I guess, that we get this in the video. Make sure we are recording, and we are. So what we're going to do then is do the last 2 transforms. I mean, we've spotted a whole host of problems with this exercise that were added to the backlog, as you'd expect. Nothing we can act on right now, but just made sure it got captured so that we could at some point look at it. Now, we just have to make sure. We're just going to revert back to the previous way of doing things, make it a bit quicker. So if I just do a quick search for, there we are. I don't think that these keys are being used at present, if I'm honest, but because we know for sure that they're not being populated correctly. As you can see here, the containing namespace is Text Transforms Visual Studio. There is no reference to the technical space in it, which makes me think this is actually a deprecated key. However, I didn't really spend the time investigating that. Let's make sure that got updated. I think it did. Didn't spend the time investigating that because in the interest of speed, we can look at all these things once we've finalized the refactor. And so the last bit, just this chap here now. Okay, so with this we've updated more or less all the text transforms. These models are just skeletons now. And what we'll do is we'll just generate what needs to be generated, run all tests, while we wait for that guy. We can just get going. The usual error we always get in initializer. Now we just fix very quickly. And hopefully we are now going to get a green build. Interestingly enough, we can't really rely on Travis anymore. Apparently Travis is no longer building. So when we do our push, I'm probably not going to get a build. Bit of a pain, could have been before the end of sprint really. And so we could say Visual Studio facet is done. Okay, cool. So with this we just moved every single transform for every single technical space. Job is done. Now the next thing we need to do now is, at this point in time, in theory you should be able to just get rid of these models. They shouldn't add any value. So what we'll do is we will just do a quick test. So if we jump over to, in fact I think I'll just be able to just do that, I think, because if we delete the models themselves, a lot of things are going to break. We should be able to just delete the things that break, and that hopefully will tell us where we need to go. So we delete those two models. While we're here as well, we will just do a quick removal of the models themselves. And to be fair, we probably should just get rid of we should just get rid of the chase and copy, so we don't really use those anymore, but for now just leave it as that. Right, now then, we just need to deal with the fallout of this. In fact, before we do that even, one thing it might be worthwhile doing is a quick look at the tests. Presumably we'll have some C#. Well, to be fair, what we'll do instead of predicting what the problems are, we'll just try to compile. And I think this is the quickest way of doing this sort of thing. So compilation is failing. We are trying to include things that don't exist anymore. That's not a problem. Alright, so because of these changes, of course, we now get a big compilation in our hands, which is fine. While this is taking place, let's just have a quick look at that bootstrapping. The bootstrapping transform. So I think in there, what we need to do is just get rid of all these hacks. And if we just create the list as we did not so long ago, by calling directly the text transforms. In theory, that should solve our main problem, I should think. Right, okay, so compilation is going. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff completely unrelated to these models. So perhaps what we can do while we wait is we can just have a quick look at what grep tells us. So I'll just do a quick grep and I'll look for something like text.cpp, just recursively. Right, so we should see a few things here. Noise mainly. Okay, so this is a problem. And then hopefully these guys here are just an attempt to run some tests with that model. So while we leave the big build to do its thing, some of these are noise. Right, so what I already is a generated code. Let's not touch that. Then we have these product references, whatever they are. It really wants these references to stay as they are, so perhaps you could just get away with removing them. I think this should do the trick. Okay. So what do we have left then? Some key references, but we could fix those really. Maybe should, because these key references then just give us the noise, and we know this is not particularly important, so just replace that by removing the CPP from there. And then we have a model to text CPP chain. Now, a model to text CPP chain is an interesting thing, because we didn't really expect to have technical specifics anymore. So I think this is actually not doing anything at present. I don't want to delete it just yet, because we are running a massive build at present. So I'm going to get rid of that in a second. Then we have a number of things here, which I think would also be fixed by regeneration, hopefully. And then we have something else here that looks suspicious. Right, so this is Dogen text. That should not really be referring to that. And we probably have initializers as well, I suspect. Although that perhaps that's already been taken care of with the current batch of things that we try to fix. So what we'll do is we'll just stage a whole lot and just see what the compilation gives us. Very close to compilation, it's not too bad. Just to recap, what we've done is we've got rid of technical specific models, and now we just have text. So if we just give you a quick overview of the text model as it stands, perhaps not 150%, 25% perhaps. So what this model has done now is, in here we have the LPS itself, plus a few helpers. Then here we have the technical specific stuff, and this is the C# model. And this is the C++ model, this is the C# model. And that kind of